Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, inshallah, we'll get started. All right, so Assalamu alaikum everyone. We're reading the fifth word from the words. And this is in continuation with what we were reading previously, the fourth word. All right, so Assalamu alaikum everyone. We're reading the fifth. Sorry, I had to cancel my YouTube tab. The fifth word. In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate. Indeed, God is with those who fear him and those who do good. If you want to see what a truly human duty and what a natural, appropriate result of man's creation it is to perform the prescribed prayers and not to commit serious sins, listen to and take heed of the following comparison. Okay, let's dive into the next paragraph and then we can break this down. Once, at a time of general mobilization, two soldiers found themselves together in a regiment. One was well trained and conscientious, the other a raw recruit and self-centered. The conscientious soldier concentrated on training and the war, and did not give a thought to rations and provisions, for he knew that it was the state's duty to feed and equip him, treat him if he was ill, and even to put the food in his mouth if the need arose. He knew that his essential duty was to train and fight, but he would also attend to some of the rations and equipment as part of his work. He would boil up the saucepans, wash up the mess tins, and bring them. If it was then asked him, "What are you doing?" he would reply, "I am doing fatigue duty for the state." He would not say, "I am working for my living." The raw recruit, however, was fond of his stomach and paid no attention to training in the war. The raw recruit, however, was fond of his stomach and paid no attention to training and the war. That is the state's business. What is it to me? He would say. He thought constantly of his livelihood, and pursuing it would leave the regiment and go to the market to do shopping. One day, his well-trained friend said to him, "Your basic duty is training and fighting, brother. You were brought here for that. Trust in the king. He will not let you go hungry. That is his duty. Anyway, you are powerless and wanting. You cannot feed yourself everywhere. And this is a time of mobilization and war. He will tell you that you are mutinous and will punish you. Yes, there are two duties which concern us. One is the king's duty. Sometimes we do his fatigue duties and he feeds us for it. The other is our duty, that is training and fighting, and sometimes the king helps us with it." If there are no objections, I would like to continue reading. Of course, you will understand in what danger the layabout soldier would be if he did not pay attention to the striving, well-trained one. O my lazy soul, the turbulent place of war is the stormy worldly life, and the army divided into regiments, human society. So the turbulent place of war is the stormy worldly life, and the army divided into regiments are human society. The regiment in the comparison is the community of Islam in this century, One of the two soldiers is a devout Muslim who knows the obligations of his religion and performs them, and struggles with Satan and his own soul in order to give up serious misdoings and not to commit sins. Sorry, let me read this again. One of the two soldiers is a devout Muslim who knows the obligations of his religion and performs them, and struggles with Satan and his own soul in order to give up serious misdoings and not to commit sins. While the other is a degenerate wrongdoer who is immersed in the struggle for livelihood that he casts aspersions on the true provider. While the other is a degenerate wrongdoer who is so immersed in the struggle for livelihood that he casts aspersions on the true provider, abandons his religious obligations, and commits any sins that come his way as he makes his living. Abandons his religious obligations and commits any sins that come his way as he makes his living. As for the training and instruction, it is foremost the prescribed prayers and worship, and the war is a struggle against the soul and its desires, and against the Satans among jinn and men, to deliver them from sin and bad morals, and save the heart and spirit from eternal perdition. And the first of the two duties is to give life and sustain it, while the other is to worship and beseech the giver and sustainer of life. It is to trust in him and rely on him. Okay, I'm just debating if I should go back and recap or continue. Let's continue reading. Indeed, whoever made and bestowed life, which is a most brilliant miracle of the eternally besought one's art. Indeed, whoever made and bestowed life, which is a most brilliant miracle of the eternally besought one's art, and a wonder of dominical wisdom, is the one who maintains and perpetuates it through sustenance. It cannot be another. Do you want proof? The most impotent and stupid animals are the best nourished, like fish and worms and fruit. And it is the most helpless and delicate creatures who have the choicest food, like infants and the young of all species. For sure, it is enough to compare fish with foxes, newly born animals with wild beasts, and trees with animals in order to understand that licit food is obtained not through power and will, but through impotence and helplessness. That is to say, someone who gives up performing the prescribed prayers because of the struggle for livelihood resembles a soldier who abandoned his training and trench and went and begged in the market. But to seek one's rations from the kitchens of the all generous provider's mercy, but to seek one's rations from the kitchens of the all generous provider's mercy, after performing the prayers, and to go oneself so as not to be a burden on others is fine and manly. It too is a sort of worship. Furthermore, man's nature and spiritual faculties show that he is created for worship. For in respect of the power and actions necessary for the life of this world, he cannot compete with the most inferior sparrow, while in respect of knowledge and need, and worship and supplication, which are necessary for spiritual life and the life of the hereafter, he is like the monarch and commander of the animals. O my soul, if you make the life of this world the aim of your life and work constantly for that, you will become like the lowest sparrow. But if you make the life of the hereafter your aim and end, and make this life the means of it and its tillage. Not familiar with what this word means. And strive in accordance with it, then you will be like a lofty commander of the animals and a petted and suppliant servant of Almighty God and his honored and respected guest. Those are the two ways open to you. You can choose whichever you wish. So ask for guidance and success from the most compassionate of the compassionate. Okay, I will just scroll back to the start. And I will quickly just recap in terms of what I understood. And then I think we can either take it paragraph by paragraph, or if anyone has any thoughts, feel free to jump in. Also, give me 1 second. Let me make sure I can see the participants. So if anyone raises their hand, it's visible to me. Okay. Right. So I guess in a nutshell, from what I understood after reading this, the fifth word, there are a few points that the author is trying to make here. The first one that I understood is that we as human beings have choice. We have our responsibility, and the analogy that the author uses here is that of a king and a regiment. And those who are not familiar with the term regiment, it's just, I think, an army terminology for um, a group of soldiers, I think. Um, so the author compares our existence as one of the soldier in a society and or in a regiment, and he proposes this situation that we're in a war, and he compares the war to our worldly life. And I understand why. I'm sure if you reflect on it, often at times we feel that um, our worldly life is a type of a war. There's struggles, there's stress, there's a variety of different things that I guess the author used that, or that made the author use that analogy. Um, and I guess my role as a soldier, I have two options. I can either choose to acknowledge my position, acknowledge the king's position, acknowledge the situation of this war, and focus on my duties, because that is what is A, expected of me, B, um, what is within my capacity or potential to fulfill. And the author, and on the contrary, I can ignore those. I have the choice and freedom to do so. I can completely ignore my responsibility towards the king, towards my regiment, towards my position, towards the scenario, and defy that, not defy, but I guess ignore that and seek other means of sustenance. And the author, the parable that I guess author proposes here is that um, in one, there is a lot of assurance, because similar to how we are fulfilling our responsibility as a soldier or as a human being in this world, um, based on what is expected of us, there's also the king, aka creator, who has his own responsibilities. And I guess in a way, the same can be expected of him to continue to fulfill his responsibilities, which is to provide for us, to provide for the soldier, to provide for the regiment, to provide for human beings. And we can dive a little deeper into what we need and what he can provide later. But I guess at a high level, that is my understanding. And again, on the contrary, you can ignore that and you can try to fulfill your own needs yourself, but that does not negate the reality, which is um, it is not in our control to provide for us, to try to beg for sustenance, as the analogy goes, like begging in the street market. There is no guarantee. At the end of the day, I think the provider still remains the same, but One is doing what is expected of us, and the other is not doing what is expected of us. And I guess before I conclude, the only other analogy that I think the author puts um, in this chapter is that of the animals. And he says that if you ever have a doubt about this parable or this scenario that the author proposed in the war and the soldiers and regiment and king, look at animals around us and look at how, like, one of the most weakest animals that we think of, and he uses fish, I think, as an example. Says, look how even the fish has been provided for. And the more complex beings, such as, I guess, ourselves, have that freedom of choice to choose between, acknowledging that there is a provider, and just as how he can provide for the fish, he will provide for us, and to trust in that. And second is to ignore that and go down the different route and try to, I guess, provide for ourselves, in which there is, blanking out on a little bit in terms of what the words were used, but there's feeling of impotence and helplessness even in that. So the choice is ours. Which one do we prefer and why? Um, that's just a quick recap of what I understood. Would anyone like to add to that before we dive into paragraph by paragraph breakdown? Farah, go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you. The point that I wanted to bring up and tie into this was just the way that I'm learning, reading these different chapters or sections, that there is a verse on the top that sort of defines or anything that is following it is basically helping us understand how to understand this verse in particular. So pointing that out, the main point that I wanted to draw my own attention towards, and the group also, is like the concept of, over here it says fear, the one who fears him, but I think originally the word is more relevant or related to being conscious or conscientious, as is demonstrated in the two different soldiers. And it is very clear from the two different scenarios that there is a level of awareness and conscientious about who one is and what their role is, in this case, in an army or as a soldier, and what they're meant to do in that. Nobody just enrolls into an army without a sense of duty and training. Similarly, in life, there can be a mentality in which someone, or it doesn't seem sensible or logical for one to be, quote unquote, enrolled in life, as in living, without any sense of duty or training in order for one to be living. So that was the point that I just wanted to draw the attention towards, wanting to discuss further about the concept of being conscious, and what is the attitude of the soldier who is conscious, as opposed to the other one who appears to be just apathetic, let's say.
Thank you, Farah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think when I read that verse, my mind automatically tries to replace the word fear with some sort of acknowledgement. And I think acknowledgement is probably the strongest word that I can find. So it's like, God is with those who acknowledge him, and those who do good. And I think I would also like to get the group's thoughts on what they understand from good. Um, my understanding is, again, knowing one's position, knowing about oneself, and through knowing oneself and the situation that they're in, coming to the ultimate conclusion that we have our responsibilities and that there is a source that is providing for us, and that doing good leads to, um, as per the verse, fearing him, but more or less acknowledging of his power, his qualities. Um, and and I think there's assurance like this almost when I look at this, when I shop for insurances for cars and whatnot, this almost looks like an insurance for my being, that hey, if you know, if I may introduce another analogy, it's like if you drive good on the road and don't get into accidents, your insurance won't go up. You know, you don't have to pay extra. So for me, it's like if I am doing good, which as I described earlier, is knowing my place, knowing my position, and acknowledging my reality, and ultimately connecting it with the source of my existence, and getting to acknowledge my creator, or my creator's existence, and whatever his qualities that I can observe based on what is manifested. um, there's almost this insurance of my soul or my being, which makes me feel comfortable that hey, it's covered. You know, if I'm driving safely, if I'm doing good, then I have nothing to fear. I have nothing to worry about. Everything is taken care of. On the contrary, again, if I don't do those things, then all of those worries, concerns are now, um, in my I guess worldview, becomes my responsibility. and, and like, who wants that, right? Who wants to be responsible for knowing one's future? Because the answers of that, um, within ourselves and not connecting it with the source, are very troublesome. Would anyone like to add to this verse, or to what Farah said, or to what I said? Brother Murmur, please go ahead.
Thank you. Uh, it is it was very good that we are starting with analyzing the verse first, because all the explanations below are nothing but interpretation of this verse. Uh, as you, both of you, Farah and you, stressed the importance of the word fear rather than fear. Be conscious or have respect, to have awe to your creator, so that you shouldn't do anything in offense of his qualities, his power, his all doings here in this world. For example, if someone is very extremely generous to you, of course you pay attention not to hurt this person uh, by rejecting or neglecting his all good uh, actions, favors to you. That taqwa is really to try not to do anything wrong. Taqwa, not to fall into a mistake, for example. Be careful. This kind of meanings it has. It was nice. It was really, I enjoyed listening to you. In addition to this emphasis on the word taqwa, which is translated here maybe it's a common translation. That's why fearing God. So although God is not to be feared, to be afraid of, so God is always treating us with his favor, but we have to fear our attitude towards him, that we may really do something irrespectful, not respectful. That the fear is on our side, fear is nothing to do with God's side. So God is not a fearful being. It cannot be the creator of the universe by definition. So what I wanted to add to this, the beginning of the verse is quite interesting. I think when we pay attention, we will understand that the following interpretation of the verse really made sense to me. I hope it helps you too. God is with those who take notice of God, let's put it in this way, and who do good deeds. Of course, God is with those who are conscious of him, aware of him, take notice of his position, God's position, and this person's position before God. God is with this man. What does it mean? Do we think that God is not with those people who don't acknowledge him? Make it simple. Now, it is clear that God is with those who are conscious of him. It means as much as I am conscious of God, I can see the favor of God on me so that I will trust him, take care of my duty, take care of my responsibility within within the conditions of this life. It means I have to mind my business. I have to leave the rest to the creator of the universe. For example, Qasim, you said no one can guarantee the future. Yeah, I cannot guarantee the future. What shall I do then? I must try to understand that whoever is creating now and has created the time before now is going to take care of the future. So I have to look, I have to search who can be the creator of the present universe right now, so that I can trust him, because the same one is going to create the future. So search for the creator, who is the source of existence of this present world. If we understand that it is created by an omnipotent one, by a one who is not of the nature of this universe, not a part of this universe, so he is the source, the origin of the universe, originator of the universe, then I should understand that the future will be known by him, because if he's going to create, he should know. As I see now that the one who is creating the universe, he knows what he's doing because of the way the things come into existence. It is not a blind action. It is a perfect arranged within knowledge, knowing what he is doing, a kind of knowledge action, if you like. So if I understand that, for example, future is known to the creator, and this creator, which is called God, and the bringing things into existence is upon him, it means he is responsible for it. It means he's taking care of it. And also there are millions of different kinds of living beings. And their existence, their life conditions, Everything is perfectly arranged according to their need by the one who created the universe, because animals don't know where, and even I don't know where I should come, when I should come into this world. I don't know. They are brought into existence, and everything has already been prepared before they were brought into existence. It means this knowledge of God is very precautious. He knows what's going to happen in the future. So I would say he is the life giver, he is the existence giver, he is the one who takes care of the needs of his creation. It means the huge universe, but there is no clash. Everything is well arranged, animate or inanimate, everything is perfectly located in their position, and whatever they need in order to continue their existence, all is provided by him, again, by the creator. Nothing can provide what he needs by itself. If I understand all this, so I will act accordingly in my life. It means, for example, if I worry about my existence, I will say, no, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to the creator. If I worry about my life, no, it doesn't belong to me, it belongs to the creator. And then the specific problem that we are dealing with on daily basis. It is interesting. Looking for our sustenance to continue our life. Of course, no one says that I provided my life by myself, but I am living, I am doing something for my life. It means I am working for my living. Everybody says, I am working for my living. But we have to know the limits there, as the text treats the subject in great detail. Am I the one who is really taking care of the conditions of my living, or only my position is in a limited area, as the example presented here, a kind of parable presented here. The army is this universe. Soldier, every one of the creatures. And there is a war, as far as only the war for human beings. As far as human beings are concerned, we are given free will, so we have to take precautions. About what? It is very important. In order, try to be careful not to interfere into God's business, but take care of my own responsibility within the army of this universe, which is my responsibility is not to give myself existence, to provide for myself my life, to provide the sustenance. It is the responsibility of the creator. Everything is out there. My responsibility is like the one who does some small chores in the army, in the example. It means taking the seeds and putting them into the soil and leaving it to the owner of the army, if you like, owner of the universe, to cook the food and provide it for me and present it to me. My share is only put the seed in the soil and take care of the soil conditions and pay attention to the order of the universe when I should sow the seed and when I should do which kind of responsibility, but which kind of actions I should do. But I have to be careful that I'm not creating my sustenance. I am just asking from the creator, asking the creator to provide me with my sustenance while I am doing all these actions. Unfortunately, the situation of the time now, the time conditions now, is not that simple, because we have many, many other needs. And we have to take care of not only putting the seed in the soil, but we have to go every day to a certain place and work at least 8 hours a day and at least 5 days a week, and then prepare myself in order to get a job. It takes years. These life conditions are, we have to understand that, first of all, not really human needs, but in the conditions, within the conditions of this lifestyle, we think and we assume the responsibility of taking care of these life conditions. Still, the author is giving us a way out of this difficult situation. How can I solve this? Because I am immersed in a condition that is not really, really essential to my life conditions. It means to carry on my life, to prepare the ground, which is already created by God. For example, like the one, go and pick up the fruit from the tree, because you plant the tree once and it gives you fruit, maybe depending on the lifespan or the kind of tree, 20 years, 50 years, some of them 100, 200 years, as far as I hear from people, I don't know, but they keep producing. It means God is producing it because of your small action you did in the form of asking the Creator to create me an olive tree, for example, or I don't know, walnut tree, for example. They last centuries, as far as I hear from people. So while we are doing all this is so simple, but at the same time, our life conditions are not that simple, so complicated. But still, the author gives us a guidance. He says that you can do this. You can take care of life conditions here, but be careful to acknowledge the result is created by God. You are just asking God to create for you. If you have this consciousness, which kind of God He is, how He treats the universe, including yourself, by giving the examples of other creatures so that the human beings will utilize their free will in the right way, rather than saying that I am taking care of my living. I would say I am being conscious of the creator of everything. I am just asking Him to treat me as He is treating everything else. It means with His utmost, absolute qualities. So if you are conscious of it and do your actions accordingly, it means when you do something in this world, if you keep in mind that, no, I'm just asking God to create the result for me. Although I am taking a burden of this civilization, most of the things are not really necessary. For example, you have to pay the rent, you have to pay for long way transportation, maintain your car, or if you want to buy a residence, a house or something, you have to really work for it for years and years and years. So we made the life, well, not we made it, but civilization, the human social life made the life so difficult. So still, we have to bear in mind that these are not our choices, but at the same time, my responsibility is to be aware that this is not my choice. And this is provided by the artificial civilization of this world. So I have to bear it. So what shall I do now? I have to acknowledge the source of the existence of everything in the world and see that whatever I am given is His mercy out of His grace. Whatever I am given is created by Him. I don't deserve it because I have no right to join the creatorship, to join His creatorship, so that I will take a part, I will take a share in it. So with this consciousness, the more I am aware of the Creator, God will be with me. Yeah, because I am conscious, I have the conscious of God. God is with me. It means I will trust God. I will trust God as the Creator, as the supplier, as the one who nourishes me and provides everything for me, so that I will not panic in this world. I will not really lose my hope from my Creator. So I have to, as much as I am aware of my Creator, I am conscious of my Creator promises that I will be with you. If someone is not aware of the Creator, what happens? It doesn't mean that God is not with him. No, he deprives himself of the surety, guarantorship of my Creator, that it is not the burden of taking care of living conditions is not on me. I am just giving a petition, if you like. I am just presenting a petition in my relationship with the other creatures of the universe, but my petition is not to the other creatures of the universe, but to my Creator. So I will attempt whatever is expected of me in this world, but I will leave the rest to the Creator. If I don't do this, what happens? I will try to guarantee my life by myself. That is what this verse says. From my perspective, as much as I am aware of God, I will become aware of that He is with me. If I am not aware of God, I won't be aware that He is with me. So I will take up the responsibility of, if you like, Godhead, creatorship on me, and I will be so suffering under the pressure of the need, the conditions of the necessities of life, necessities of living in this world. So I will be under stress always, because I cannot guarantee, but I want everything to be guaranteed. So this stress deprives me of God's mercy. God will not be with me because I closed my door. I cut off my relationship with Him. Otherwise, He is my Creator. Whatever I do, at the end of the day, He is the one who creates the result. But if I'm not aware of it, I will deprive myself of being relaxed, because I am under the guarantorship of my Creator. But if I am not aware of him, I am under the guarantorship of my own effort. Look at the difference. One of them is relaxed, the other one is in a terrible situation, but at the end, he can never guarantee anything anyways. But that is what human egoistic attitude doesn't want to acknowledge. Human beings claim that we are guaranteeing our life. We are providing everything, whatever is necessary for our life. That is just an egoistic attitude and just puts human beings under stress of not being under the security of the one who takes care of everything in the universe. That is nothing but just ignorance and arrogance. And the cost is on me. I am suffering from it. God carries on creating the universe and leaves me alone. Thank you for a long, long talk. And I exploited your patience again, as usual. I hope it helps us understand God is with those who fear or who are conscious of him. What does it mean? God is with me. I have to look at the case from my perspective because God is speaking to me. If you are conscious of me, as much as you are conscious of me, I will be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone have any thoughts, questions to what's been said recently? If not, anything in general before we go paragraph by paragraph? Go ahead.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was just thinking part of that is also the choice we make if we recognize that our risk is from Allah and we pursue it in a halal fashion, we accept it, whatever Allah has granted us, then He will increase it and give it barakah. And if we look for it, this is again free will. If we want a quick reward and we go the wrong way, we do it haram, then we have no barakah in it, and it will only reduce our risk from Allah Ta'ala. I'll give you an example. We were in a particular country and we wanted to go to an embassy of another country to ask for visas. And we stopped a taxi and he took us all around the city before he got us to the embassy. And, it was a very outrageous bill and we paid it because we didn't know how far we had to go. When we finished our business, we came out and took another taxi. And this man obviously had taqwa. He took us around the block, 2 blocks. And that was it. There was our hotel. So he chose the right path and the other person chose the haram. So it was free will, the risk was there for both of them. But he took the haram, and that would take away from the barakah of what he earned, because he didn't do it the right way. And I see that in this, that those who fear Allah, by acknowledging that he is giving us our risk and we are patient and we ask him for more, inshallah, he will give us barakah. Am I right?
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Does anyone have anything else to add or any questions? Okay. We'll continue with the paragraphs. And if anyone has any specific questions on any of these, just feel free to raise your hand or drop a comment in the chat, or just speak up. So again, I think the first paragraph, I'll read it quickly this time. If you want to see what a truly human duty and what a natural appropriate result of man's creation it is to perform the prescribed prayers and not to commit serious sins, listen to and take heed of the following comparison. And then, of course, the author gets into the comparison. One question that I have for anyone who would like to add is, what do we understand from not to commit serious sins? Does anyone have any thoughts? All right, I'll take that as no one has any thoughts. I guess I'll just share what I understand, which is, again, ignoring one's responsibilities. Sorry, not to commit serious sins would be to fulfill one's responsibilities. To commit sin would be ignoring that. And again, to not commit a serious sin would be to acknowledge one's position and the creatorship of the creator. Go ahead, Sarah. Would you like to add anything?
Yes. So the way I understand it is, we if you refuse or you fail to oblige to not to actually commit the sins consciously, I feel like, adding on to what you said, we don't fulfill our responsibility, but at the same time, like we're rejecting one of God's major, commands to not do such and such. But at the same time, we're also failing to understand why we don't do such and such things. So many times throughout the Quran, Allah explains things with opposites, right? So here we can see, we're blessed with this and that and that, and we're allowed to like reap the rewards of certain blessings that are just granted to us. And we are given more than what we are told to stay away from. So what I mean by that is we have way more blessings to be thankful for, and halal ways to enjoy our existence in this life, which all has a form, and Allah has a specific special form for us to follow. So I just feel like, like you said, it is a responsibility, but we should reflect though. And for someone who like, consciously performs the major sins, it just shows either their lack of faith in Allah, like do you not trust him to tell that he said, hey, stay away from this and that for a reason. So I mean, that's just how I look into it, that we should be more conscious of why we were told, because Allah only did that for our best interest, right? Because in the end, Allah is the creator, we are the creation. He knows what is good for us and what is bad for us. So that's all.
Thank you. I'll raise another question, I guess, as I was reflecting on this, is for someone who is not acknowledging the creator in their existence, for them is trying to, I guess, provide for themselves, as far as this analogy goes, or worrying about their own existence, would such a thing be considered a sin in their perspective? Or is this entire argument false, because the notion of sin or the notion of doing something wrong would not exist for them, because that is what is right for them? Feel free to just open up your mic and speak if you have any thoughts. Go ahead. Sarah, see that your hand's up.
Oh, sorry, it was unmuted. Sorry, can you just repeat, from what perspective are you asking? I didn't quite.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about, for someone who is not, I guess, mindful of the creator's existence in their reality, then would it or would it not be considered committing a sin when they're trying to strive for their own sustenance themselves? Or is that considered just investigation and not really a sin? Or, I mean, as a matter of fact, I think that would almost seem right for them to do, because they're not taking the creator into the equation at all. Not sure if the question's clear. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, so I understand better now. Thank you. So I'm just gonna reflect back on what this verse actually says here. It says to not commit serious sin. So I would disagree that people are not fully unconscious of God. And this is why I think we can all agree that like all creation understand that there's a higher being, right? Atheist or not, that's a basic understanding, and we are all at different levels, as Muslims, as practicing, like people who actively practice the faith, people are not at the same level. And I think there's a reason why it says major sins or serious sins in this case, because Allah also says that this the world or the planet would not exist with humans if we were all perfect, right? They didn't say, oh, major and minor sins. Like literally, we would not even be, here if we did not make mistakes. How would we learn if we did not, make any of these mistakes? So for that reason, I think, I don't know if I understand, if I'm responding to what you said properly. So some people, they do commit small or the big sins, right? Knowingly, right? But and that's why Allah says you keep doing this, same sins, big or small, over and over, he will keep forgiving. And why was that? Why was that ruling put into place too? Because Allah created us this way. So I don't think, being one who sins makes you any less spiritual, or, I mean, it does make you a little less, I guess, conscious, or, but it's still, you're still equally as important as someone who, never ever sins and completely actively tries to avoid those things, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Yes, Brother Murmur, go ahead.
I agree that most of the people, most of the great majority of the people accept that, are convinced that there is a super being who takes care of the universe and creates the universe. But the problem is not to be or to acknowledge that there is a creator. That is also essential. I don't deny that. But the problem that we are facing nowadays in our life, yes, there is a creator, but what shall I do? What is my position here? What is my responsibility? If there is a creator, there is a creator. I understand. I always say, you give this simple example that the house I'm living is built by someone else. There is a builder. Yeah, there is an architect. Simple example. Okay, what shall I do? So acknowledging that a creator exists must follow further considerations, which are: who is he? What is he? Who am I? What is the relationship between me and him? Because he has given me the consciousness to become aware of his existence, his presence in the universe while he is creating it. He is demonstrating his existence through creating the universe. This is, I am doing this, he says. So what shall I do? Now, the second question follows this. What is that, the second question? God helps, the creator helps human beings, because if his help is not with me, I would never, ever become aware of my position before the creator and which kind of creator he is. I would never understand this. I would never guess from it. So what, I would never guess it. What I am expected to do now, so you gave me the consciousness, or creator, you gave me the consciousness, and I am aware that such thing like God, the creator, must exist, but I don't know what to do afterwards. So you gave me the consciousness of this reality, then you have to help me as well further, because I cannot find the answer in the universe. What shall I do? So the universe is wonderful. Okay, there must be a creator. Fine. What it is important to accept that. To deny is a horrible thing for a human being, because it is unjustifiable at all. The universe doesn't have a creator. It happens to be by itself. It is so unacceptable for human mind. So the creator, I expect from the creator to send an extra message, extra from the universe. Although this message confirms by the action of the creator who is presenting his qualities in the universe, but by speaking to me, by explaining to me what to do, what not to do, and what is my position before my creator. All my life conditions, how can I organize them according to the purpose of their existence? How can I do that? For this reason, I must expect a kind of guidance from my creator apart from the universe. This guidance comes through revelation, which is called, it is a technical word, although everyone knows it, but what is revelation for a person who doesn't know what Islam is? So through revelation, and this revelation is presented to us, certain appointed people, employed people, as an instructors, as teachers. And through this message that the teachers convey to us, who receives from the creator and convey to us, gives us the instruction what to do, what not to do. As far as the religion of Islam is concerned, there are other religions as well, and they have their own concerns. Of course, that is out of subject now. We are studying the verse of the Quran, so we have to concentrate on the message of the Islamic religion. So the religion says the most major mistake that a person, a human being can make is to associate partner to God, which is described in the teachings of the Quran and also in the teachings of the religion of Islam, which is associating or giving divinity, divine power to anything other than the creator of the universe. If that is not that simple, because I'm not saying that the universe is created by God and somebody else as well next to him, besides him. No one says this. So shirk is, on my side, seeing, regarding anything in the universe as to be the source of existence of something. Maybe existence of itself, maybe existence of next thing next to it. Yeah, we say the light, the sunlight is the source of existence of life on earth. That's what many people say that. If you speak to them, do you really believe that the universe existed by itself? They say, no, there must be something, but the sun is there, created by God, but sun is the means of life. It means life giver is the sun. That is shirk. If I say in my personal life, I am making my living. What? I am the sustainer for myself. I'm not claiming that I sustain the life of all living beings. No, 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 just myself. I did something good work so that the result was given existence by me. Because I gained it, that is the result of my work, not acknowledging the direct creatorship of God, the creator of the universe, there presently acting in the result of my work. That is shirk. So we should be extremely careful to avoid falling into this kind of mistakes. So that is sin. Another type of sin is in the religion, in any religion, there are certain ritualistic activities, as the verse says, as the commentator says. Now, appropriate result of man's creation in the first paragraph, it is to perform the prescribed prayers and not to commit serious sins. Now, to perform the prescribed prayers is, while I am living in this world as being in a material form of creation, my body, my consciousness, if I am conscious of my creator, my consciousness must be practiced within the conditions of this universe, which is also described in the religion of Islam. Look, you have to acknowledge your consciousness of God in practical terms as the conditions of this universe require. It means physically do certain actions as my messenger has prescribed it for you, so that it will be a means of practicing my belief in God. And also the same message from the Creator says, while you are doing this, don't prefer this, but prefer that one. Do this, but not, don't do that one. While I am obeying the order, which is prescribed in the message of the Creator, what is the real purpose of my obedience is to acknowledge that this universe doesn't belong to me. This life doesn't belong to me. I cannot create anything. I am nothing but the creature, a creature of my creator. My feelings are all from him, but I have been given free will not to acknowledge it or not to acknowledge it. If I acknowledge it, these are the means, if you like. These are the means, vehicles to practice one's confession that every single thing is created by the creator of the universe. For example, very simple example, the religion says, don't gamble. Why? Because you have to trust God, the creator. If you just trust on chance, if you just put your trust in chance, so what happens? You ignore that everything is organized by the creator. What you do now, you trust in chance. It goes against the reality of this world, which demonstrates that nothing in the universe comes into existence by chance, but the will of the creator of this universe. So these are the means of acknowledging who the creator is, who I am, what the relationship between me and him. I am the one who receives everything from him, my existence, my life, my sustenance, everything, my spirit, my feelings, everything. He who receives it from everything, and I am this one. He is the one who wants me to acknowledge this reality so that he will be with me. So I will be aware of it. So all these, what we call them sins, it means prescribed regulations, legislations by the revelation of the Creator, are the means to practice my belief in God. Which kind of God he is, what my position is before him, which kind of relationship there should be between me and him, and what kind of practices I should do in this physical world so that I will be loyal, I will be conforming my position and his position in practical terms. These are what we have to bear in mind while we are talking about sins or committing sins. Of course, major sins, negligences are not within the content of this subject. Major sins, which means my Creator says, don't gamble. I say, come on, I will gamble. You don't know, I know better. As if you see that how the relationship between me and my Creator, although I don't deny the Creator, is spoiled. And I took the priority in deciding what to do rather than accepting that my Creator will have the priority to tell me what to do. Because he is my Creator, he knows what I need. I mean, I wouldn't say better. No, he knows what I need, exactly what I need. I don't know exactly what I need. So I have to follow his directions. If I don't follow his directions, I am going to be the loser. I am going to lose my understanding of the Creator. If I do it very frequently, of course, my understanding, my consciousness of the Creator will fade away. So I will be left on myself alone. This is what the relationship between belief and performing the prescribed prayers and doing what is required of me, which is taught through the revelation of my God. That's what we have to really frame what we have understood, what we understand from sinning. And of course, the opposite is obeying. We have to frame it within the context of belief and doing good deeds, relationship. That is why the Creator says, God is with those who are conscious of him and those who do good. It means act according to the will of God, who is conscious of him, whom he is conscious of. So if I am aware of God, I will act in this world on the basis of this awareness. That is called obedience or abstaining from sinning, or fundamentally performing my prescribed prayers so that I will remind myself continuously, because when I don't do it physically, I just forget my relationship with my Creator. I think I hope it helps a little bit at least. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, your comment definitely made me kind of think of the importance of this and right here, where it's not just are we conscious of the creator, but also, um, you know, doing our part and fulfilling our responsibilities that comes as part of being conscious of the creator. So that was helpful. Thank you. I will read some comments. First one has a typo, so I'm going to try to read it properly. It's still, and this is, I guess, in relation to when I had proposed the question about whether or not it's a sin if you're not conscious of the creator. And the comment is, it's still a transgression against one's soul. I'm reminded of Prophet Yunus's dua. So thanks for sharing your thoughts. Moving on to the next comment. This is, I guess, just a thought. Acknowledging our mistakes when we sin and asking for his forgiveness brings us closer to our creator. It is only when we continue to sin and train ourselves to not to acknowledge our wrongdoing that we deprive ourselves of his help and mercy. Thank you for sharing that thought as well. Sweet. Does anyone have any other questions, thoughts on what's been said? If not, we can continue diving deeper into this. Great. I'll move on. So again, the author is just talking about the analogy that there's a time of general mobilization. There are two soldiers that find themselves in a single regiment. So again, two types of people, also two choices for us if we're looking at this here and now. One was well-trained and conscientious, and the other is a raw recruit and self-centered. So I think the difference here is, again, one is more mindful of his position, and the other is self-centered, meaning they're not so, I guess, trusting in the process of where they are in their position and the king's responsibility in this situation, the creator. So the more mindful one is concentrated on their training and the war being life here. And they're not giving too much thought to rations and provisions, for he knows that that was the state's duty to feed and equip him. So I think in this, again, a mindful choice as human beings would be to understand that it is our creator's responsibility to create the results of, I guess, our actions. And our responsibility is to, again, as far as the verse goes, acknowledge him, be conscious of him, and fulfill the responsibilities that come as part of that mindfulness. Lost my track. Right. Treat him if he was ill, and even to put the food in his mouth if the need arose. So again, this is just acknowledging the creator's responsibility here. He knew that his essential duty was to train and fight. So again, this is speaking to understanding our responsibility. But he would also attend to some of the rations and equipment as part of his work. I have a question here. I'm not exactly sure why there's a need for a but, because it seems like this would almost be part of our responsibility as well, unless I'm understanding this part where attend to some of the rations and equipment as part of his work. So if anyone has any thoughts here, please comment or raise your hand. For now, I'll just finish this rest of this paragraph. So the person does not mind doing any extra work. And if he or she was asked, what are they doing? They would simply reply, and this is where I think the point is being made. I'm doing fatigue duty for the state. So the person, this is again the more conscious person and not self-centered. The person is not saying that they are working for their own living. So I think the key here is that this they're more mindful of what their, I guess, the purpose of their existence is, and the role that they're playing in the overall creation, and from their own perspective. So I think that's again important. They're not saying that, you know, I'm being made to do this. They're saying I am choosing, and that's the doing part. They're choosing to do this work, this duty, for the state. And I guess for the state implies, at least in my understanding, what is expected of them, as opposed to the person ignoring the state or ignoring the king and the overall responsibilities and just focusing on themselves, where one would have a response to say, I'm working for my living. Any thoughts on this paragraph? Any questions? I'll wait like 10 seconds. Okay. If there are no thoughts, we can move on to the next one. The raw recruit, however, was fond of his stomach. I guess this is, my understanding of this is just self-centered, selfish, not worrying about anyone else and just focus on their own concerns, and paid no attention to training and the war. So that means they're not being mindful of what is expected of them, which is training, and the war meaning the larger scheme of things, life as a whole. They're just focused on their immediate concern, which is just, you know, I guess, eating food for this as far as this analogy goes. But outside of the analogy, it's like, I think their immediate concerns, and at an existential level, that could mean their livelihood, right? Their survival, and not just survival of the body, I guess, but even survival of the soul. But that requires that mindfulness of the creator. So this person's response to, I guess, a similar question is, you know, it's the state's business. What is it to me? You know, he thought constantly for his livelihood, and pursuing it would leave the regiment and go to the market to do the shopping. So again, this is just, I guess, speaking more to the self-centered characteristic of such a choice. Any questions, thoughts here before we move on to the next one? Or previous paragraph? If I'm moving too fast, just let me know. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands or comments, so I'll keep going. So I guess one day when a person told him that, you know, your basic duty is training and fighting, you were brought here for that, trust in the king, he will not let you go hungry. That is his duty. Anyway, you are powerless and wanting. You cannot feed yourself everywhere. And this is a time of mobilization and war. He will tell you that you are mutinous and will punish you. Yes, there are two duties which concern us. One is the king's duty. Sometimes we do his fatigue duties and he feeds us for it. And the other is our duty, that is training and fighting, and sometimes the king helps us with it. Again, quick recap. You know, we were brought here being like, we did not choose to exist. We exist, I guess it was someone else's choice. As far as our concerns concerned, it was our creator's choice to give us existence. And that is the reality, we exist. So starting with that, you know, acknowledging that our creator gave us existence, there must be a reason, there must be a purpose, and there must be sustenance of that existence. And I think that's what I understand from trust in the king. He will not let you go hungry, meaning he is looking out for our existence because he is the one who gave us this existence. That is his duty. I really love this sentence, even though how short it is, just because I think by definition, to create something means you have the ability to not just bring it into existence, but to keep it in existence. So creatorship and sustainership, if that's a word, go hand in hand there. And so if we're conscious of the fact that there is a creator and his qualities based on what we observe, then we can conclude that he has that potential to continue to sustain our existence. I guess the friend continues to remind him, anyway, you are powerless and wanting. You cannot feed yourself everywhere. Sometimes I think of this friend as just my own consciousness reminding me that the inner voice that's telling me, look, everything is not in your control. As a matter of fact, nothing is. All we have is just our choices. So this is just a reminder that we are powerless and we are needy, wanting. We cannot feed ourselves everywhere, which means beyond, like we cannot sustain our existence beyond the choices that are provided to us. That's what I understand. This is a time of mobilization and war. I think this is just, if I understand this correctly, it's just a reminder that this is just this life. Mobilization, I think, as far as I Googled it, it means to prepare for, to get your troops ready. So I think that readiness speaks a lot about where essentially one's existence is headed outside of the war, quote unquote, war being life, this life as we know it. He will tell you that you're mutinous and will punish you. I would like some clarity here. And I also have a question right here, which is, it says there are two duties which concern us. One is the king's duty. Sometimes we do his fatigue duties and he feeds us for it. So I understand that it concerns us, whether or not the king is going to provide us and sustain our existence. My open question is, what does it mean that we do his fatigue duties and he feeds us for it? I'm not sure how we end up doing the king's duties, unless it means that we are employed by him to fulfill certain tasks, certain responsibilities, and therefore he rewards us for completing those tasks. The other I understand, the other is our duty, that is training and fighting, which in terms of my understanding, it just means doing that which is expected of us, and we can conclude to what is expected of us through just deeper reflection and being better mindful of our role in existence. I know we are out of time, but if anyone has any thoughts or answers to this question right here, feel free to speak up. Otherwise, we can continue with that next time. Further member, please go ahead.
I apologize for two things. It is too late, and also I spoke a lot. I think, let me put it in one simple sentence as I understand from the text, and you also mentioned that, but I will repeat it. God's duty, let's start from my duty. Our duty, my duty is to send a petition to God. It means express that I need this, please give the result to me. My duty is to acknowledge that the result the result needs to be created. Acknowledge it. Acknowledge that I cannot create it. And God's duty is, since I acknowledged it, since I knocked at his door, if you like, through my consciousness, his duty is to create it. And also war is very important. In the following, before we close today's session, in the following paragraph, it will, the text it will explain that toward the bottom of this paragraph now, which starts, oh my daisy, not the bottom, really, quite down bottom. The war is the struggle against the soul and its desires. The soul means is not spirit. Down there, no, not much, no, this is too much. Yeah, so halfway through, a little bit down of this paragraph, which starts with, oh my daisy soul.
Okay. Is it this one?
Which one? The first paragraph.
Okay.
Not the paragraph which starts with,
Oh,
oh my
it.
right
This one,
there.
right?
Down, and you will find it. And no, the war. This sentence is important. And the war is the struggle against the soul and its desires.
Okay. I'm still looking for it, but you can continue explaining.
Okay. Here. I mean, from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth line from the bottom
Thank
of
you.
paragraph. That's it. This is very important. Against the soul and its desires. What does it mean? We have to struggle against our egoistic ambitions which claim that I am the one who is sustaining my life. I would say, no, you can't acknowledge it. So this is an ongoing war between the creator, that I should acknowledge him, and of course, through my free will. And my egoistic ambitions tell me, you are the one who is feeding yourself, who is feeding your family. Do you see what I mean? You are the one who is taking care of other people's needs, rather than I am just asking my creator to give me the opportunity to feed myself, to feed others, but the result will be created by him. That acknowledgement is the central pivot of the concept of war. And against the Satan and among jinn and men, it means all these sources of whisperings which says, no, God is far away from the universe if there is such a being, but you are doing it. You are creating your own actions. You take the pride of your own actions and ignore asking God to create the result for you. Look, you did it and it happened. Do you see what I mean? The simple example, I saw the seeds and the plant came out, or the tree came out. You see, that's your work. That is satanic inspirations, because it has no reality at all. I didn't contribute to the creation of the tree at all. I just asked the creator to create a tree for me within the conditions of this physical world. Within the conditions of this physical world is to speak to God in terms of his actions, which is, I should put the seed in the soil, the tree will be created by God. I have no right to claim that I created the tree. It is my tree. No, it is given to me for my usage, yes. But I wasn't the real owner of the tree, but the creator of the tree is the real owner of that tree. So this is very essential, that when we are trying to understand the war parables or analogies, it is not the war that we understand nowadays. The people kill each other, nothing to do with it. Just the war is within myself, within my heart, within my spirit, and within my egoistic pride, egoistic ambitions, or claims that I am the one who is doing it. This is the war. Of course, the satanic inspirations, it is the thought comes to my mind that you are doing it. Come on. What is God? God has created the universe and that's it. He's done his duty, finished. You are doing it, your actions now. This idea is an option for me, but this option is important because I will investigate how much it is legitimate to confirm. I will understand that I'm not creating the tree and rejected it. As I reject it, I will say, I'm not creating the tree. The nature itself is not creating the tree because the nature itself is the tree. So who's creating it? Search for the creator and refer the creation of the tree to the creator. That is the condition of the war. And inspirations or whisperings of Satan, anything, basically on this argumentation. Which one am I going to follow? My feelings, my human senses say, I didn't create it. Soil cannot create it. Sunlight cannot create it. That's my reason tells me. And also this inspiration has no base at all, rejected and confirmed the opposite, which is everything is created by the creator of the universe. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Assalamu alaikum.